Game day. The Real Kyper and Bourne Show. Leaf Hour edition. Welcome aboard. We're live on Sportsnet 590 The Fan, Sportsnet 360, and Sportsnet Plus. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee, Derek Brandeo, Jake the Snake Schultz. Toronto Maple Leafs, Boston Bruins. Bruins coming in town for the first time.
The big bad Bruins?
Are they?
I don't know, not really.
Not really.
Kind of the meek, medium Bruins?
Cubs.
The Cubs?
No.
Yeah.
Like Cubs now.
A couple wins
Mid.
in a row, though. Yeah, mid is right.
They are mid, but bigger news is that Auston Matthews unavailable for tonight's contest.
Yeah. Level of surprise?
Well, Sammy probably touched on it more than we wanted to the other day. Is there something wrong with him? Is there a hand issue, a wrist issue where he had surgery, a few years ago? I can't even remember how far back it was.
Not the wrist. Did I dismiss that yesterday out of hand?
No, I don't think so.
No.
I think I just mentioned it in passing, and then we all sort of had the conversation that one of my least favorite things in sports is when a guy is underperforming.
Right. And,
We all agreed. We all agreed, but then maybe he actually was.
Yeah.
So,
He had 7 shot attempts and played 22 minutes in his last game. So, he was involved. He was out there. It's not like there was an event that took him off the ice, but apparently something nagging. He's had a shoulder issue in the past, too. Let's be honest. He's had a head thing in the past. Who knows?
Let's get Craig Berube's thoughts on Auston Matthews for our first Kyper's Clipper.
Well, it's day-to-day upper body right now. It's, he's been fighting through it a little bit, but so obviously he's out tonight.
Okay. What's he fighting?
So last year he played 81 games. Do you remember the one game that he didn't play? He didn't play against the Pittsburgh Penguins in December, and the Leafs won 7-0. Martin Jones had a shutout. Tyler Bertuzzi had 3 assists. Max Domi had a 3-point night.
Matthew Nyes had a Gordie Howe hat trick in that game.
Yeah, was that game?
Yeah, beat the crap out of somebody on Pittsburgh, and then he scored. Beautiful
He was flying.
backhand goal.
So,
remember that, but I don't remember my email password.
I get it's early in the season.
Mm-hmm.
I get that he's not off to the best start. If there's something nagging him, look after it.
Yeah.
But I just wish it wasn't against the Boston Bruins.
Yeah.
I actually kind of like it.
You
Why?
like it?
Why do you like it?
I like it. It's it's an early season game. Ultimately, it's not meaningless because it's a tight division and they need to get these points. And like we've mentioned that, but this is a big moment for guys to have to rise to the occasion. Like it's all these guys underneath that we've been talking about, their lack of contribution. Domi hasn't scored yet.
Top line tonight.
Top line tonight.
Marner.
Nick Robertson has only scored 1 goal all year in a blowout. Bobby
Playing with
McMahon's been
Holmberg and
up and
McMahon.
down. Like more guys are going to feel a little bit more emboldened than they will in other games. And it's a big test on home ice against, like you said, the big bad Cubs or Bruins or whatever you want to call them. It's a wake-up call for some guys here, and I think it's going to be fun tonight. I think it's actually kind of good.
It is.
If it's not serious.
No, they play well.
If the injury's
in
not
these
serious,
spots,
then it's
right?
like the season's over. But if he's just got a sore shoulder or something, then maybe it's okay. No?
And if they lose 4-1 today,
They
then
didn't have Auston Matthews.
you're covered.
Boom.
That teams do that with their starting goalies, right? They're like, we're just gonna play our backup, and if we lose, we didn't play our starter. Can't blame us.
Perfect.
Yeah, no, the guys do tend to be like, all right, well, can't be a passenger tonight. We're gonna have to play.
All right, let's get Craig Berube's thoughts on playing without Auston and if they're as casual as our Sammys.
Everybody just needs to, just do their job out there. I don't think you focus on, well, Austin's not playing, so what are we going to do? I mean, we got a good team. We got good players, and people are going to get a little different look tonight in situations, lines, things like that. So they're capable guys. They're good players, and you just got to go play it. We understand who we're playing here tonight with Boston and how we got to play the game, and it's going to be a hard game. We know that. Boston's won a couple in a row now, so they're feeling good about themselves, and they're playing better.
Agree that, especially a guy like Max Domi, that this is his specialty. He's the first guy in line to be that guy that can move up the lineup
Mm-hmm.
and hold a spot, whether or not you believe that he could hold it for a whole season is much different from this type of scenario. This is why you sign Max Domi, because he can move up and down the lineup when needed.
Yeah.
I'm ready to go in, Coach. Just give me a chance.
I'm telling you, if they're really good tonight, I'm going to have a meltdown. Like, I'm going to have a really hard time if Marner and him once again click and they're a fantastic line and they haven't given this a chance before. You guys know I've been on this, like, let's just see Domi with Matthews and Marner. I think they played together. Every time it feels like those guys play together, they play well.
And then, I'm sorry, once you get what you want, where does Auston come back to?
I would love for Auston to have his own line.
Okay. Share that with me.
Yeah, great. I would love for him to play with a couple of guys like Bobby McMahon and Matthew Nyes, or Bobby McMahon, and I think he can drive his own line the same way that Sidney Crosby drives his own line, the same way that McDavid at times does.
So Nyes is not with Domi or Marner.
Well, if you want to keep him there, fine.
Okay, then McMahon, Auston, and Willie. No?
Sure.
Okay.
I'm into that, but it doesn't even need to be Willie. I would love to split them up. Have Marner, Matthews, and
Nick Robertson.
Nylander. Sure. I'm in. Honestly, I'm in. I think Auston Matthews is good enough to make this a 3-line team if you give him a chance.
Yeah.
Give him a chance. You're not into it?
Well, listen, let's go no further than watching Max and Mitch and Matthew Nyes tonight.
Yeah. Am I 3 steps ahead?
But again, I like Max. Listen, you could put Max on the line, and if he can get 2 weeks, a month, 3 months, maybe he does crack that barrier that he has not been able to crack his whole career, and that's to legitimize himself on a contending team for a top 6.
I got good news for you.
But
we have his coach on it.
He's a top 9 guy.
For sure he is. Let's listen to clip 4 from Berube on Max on the top.
Yeah, I mean, I think, Max has been in this situation before here. I wasn't here, but I watched it, and Max has been around a long time. He's a good player, and he's the type of player that relishes that type of thing. He understands what's, his job is tonight and what he needs to do, and he just goes out and executes.
I just think he's going to have a good night.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah, I think they all should have a good night based on the weekend and regrouping and getting a good night's rest.
It's a cookie night. Craig Berube did in terms of watching previous Maple Leaf stuff to prepare to coach this roster? Like he says, I wasn't here, but I watched it. What do you think he did? Like this offseason, do you think he went back and watched 40 Leaf games?
Yeah.
100 or 80 Leafs games?
Enough to say I want more north, south than east, west.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We have not seen a lot of regrouping. We've seen pucks in deep. We've seen 1 or 2 guys hard to the net. The stat that you mentioned the other day about second chances and rebound goals.
Yep. Pretty
That's
good in those categories.
That's right into Berube's kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the gist of, I think, what he's speaking of.
Well, if you watched a million games from the last couple of years or the last year with Domi, he would know what we all know. Good with good players, losing with bad players. So why, not bad players, but, bottom 6 guys, you lose them. And I mean, like he
can't drive a line. He needs to be a part of something.
So if you've watched so many games and you know what his game is, like, why are you trying to steal these minutes with him as a 3rd-line center? We know it doesn't work.
Just speaks to, I think, some of the issues they have.
Well,
let's stick with the theme of the coach weighing in on some of these guys, middle 6 guys. Berube on Bobby McMahon interests me there. Clip 6.
Well, I mean, I think he's he got a couple goals and he was going good, and it kind of dipped a bit. He needs to find it again. I think sometimes players overthink things and try to do more than they need to do. Like his game needs to be a simple up and down game and bang bodies, big body, and go to the net hard and things like that. So he can be better for sure.
He's all over McMahon, eh? Like
Well,
Do you see why?
Yeah, I see why, because a mid-30 guy like Max Pacioretty's playing harder than you are.
Good comparison, yeah.
And I can't have that.
Yeah.
Like, that's a bad sign for us.
End of story.
Pacioretty should be a whipped cream and a cherry on top, man. You need to be the ice cream when it comes to hitting guys.
Yeah.
And he's not. But we've had this discussion before. It's okay. Everybody's on their best behavior when everybody's watching closely at training camp or a couple exhibition games or a couple seasons. But now we're in November, December, 4 games in 6 nights. Don't want to do it all the time. Then you're going to have a coach all over you. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah, fair enough. Couple ways we can switch gears.
I think, he's trying to get this physical presence out of McMahon. And, is he a physical, do you need goals out of him or do you need some physical presence? Like,
There's a quote.
How much did he get given? How much was his contract?
Is it 1.5 or something like that?
1-2, I think.
And we were all pretty
Years.
excited about that contract because he was scoring so much last year.
Find out.
They need that version too.
He
He's supposed to be looked upon as depth.
1.35.
He's supposed to be looked upon as
Yes.
depth scoring, right?
Oh,
Like
no,
they
no, no.
need the
He was-
physicality of him.
Scored 15 and a half a season
Yes.
last year. essentially.
he was like ready for next level stuff.
And he's taken a step back.
But he's taking a step back. His coach is asking him to be something he's never been. So I get what Berube sees. There's a quote about McMahon, one of his Harvard teammates. I think he went to Harvard, didn't he?
Somewhere like
One
that.
of his Ivy teammates said, I don't think he hit anyone in 4 years. Like there's a quote about, that was just not the guy he was. And I understand that all about adapting your game to make and stay in the NHL.
Yeah.
I think it is a little bit trying to change the player, which there's nothing wrong with that if he's willing to
Yeah.
do it. But I think
Yeah.
that's
But
where they're at.
there's a pecking order. The hitting comes first before you start searching
Colgate,
for before you start
Colgate.
searching for goals.
Mm-hmm.
The hitting part is the easiest part to make your coach happy,
Yeah.
to appease him.
Yep.
It's not the goal scoring part. And now he's he gets caught when he's out on the ice.
For sure. It's actually, like how a stay-at-home D-man, they say, like, if you notice him, it's a bad game. When you don't notice him, it's a good game. McMahon could kind of be the same thing, where if he just went about his business, forechecked, finished his check, played good positional, they'd play him all the time. And then he'd just find a few pucks here and there and shoot him in.
Which he can. We know that.
Oh, yeah, he can shoot it, man.
But it just doesn't appear like he's all in on that engagement that Berube's needing right now. And he's a big, strong, heavy guy. We've seen him knock people over.
Yeah.
But do you think he'll get there? Like, do you think that keeping
This is a big question.
Yeah.
well,
Maybe we'll find that roommate.
What's that?
Was it a roommate, a teammate?
Yeah.
but
Maybe he'll have better insight than us.
I mean, continuing to ride him and talk about how he's been up and down and how he needs to hit people more and all this stuff. Sure, that's great, but you also really do need the other part of it on this team,
Yeah.
right? So, to me, you got to kind of have to find a balance between asking him to just be a bruiser and needing him to shoot the puck in the net. And that's why you're the coach of the Leafs and you get paid the big bucks, but you are losing the other part of his game right now.
Last year, he averaged 10.4 hits per 60 minutes, and this year it's 8.9. So
Yeah.
he's down a hit and a half per 60 minutes of ice time.
That can't drop.
Yeah.
He can't let that drop.
And it has. So you can see why there's some frustration from the coach. Year before, he's 10.36. So his hits are down. He needs more of that.
Okay. Where do you want to go?
Either Stolars or Boston.
Stolars. Thank you.
Boo.
Oh, my God.
Boo.
Thank you.
This guy has been nothing but unbelievable, and Barney wants to run him to
No.
the back out. He's a
Because we're going to
backup.
sit here in April, and you guys are going to go, well, Stolars is hurt, and now Wool's had a bad year because he's only played 11 times. They should have given him some
11
starts.
times.
Why are you worrying about a conversation a month or 2 months or 3 months? Why just focus on 2 points tonight? You are
that
in-
Sheldon Keefe did that, and you hated it.
You are a mid team until you are not a mid team. Right now, they are in the middle of a pile with all the rest of them, and until you get some breathing room, don't start counting your.
All right. We just
Chickens.
remember this when we have conversations later in the year, and I say you guys were unwilling to look at the big picture. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, Stolar starts. Listen, he's better than Woll right now. Gives him a better chance to win tonight. Tough to argue with that.
Okay, let's go to Berube on Stolarz starting tonight against the Boston Bruins.
Well, I mean, it's always discussions with the goalies and where we're at in the schedule and things like that. So we got a back-to-back coming up after tonight. I like Stoley's last game, so I chose to go with him tonight.
That's simple.
Yeah. It's like we have back-to-back. They're both going to play. Who do you want to get the extra game? The guy who's playing better. I get it.
That's the bottom line. So
And that's the bottom line.
Yeah. You've been watching the Vince McMahon doc too, right?
I have
Yeah,
been.
yeah. Yeah, every time I hear that clip, I think of, I think of Stone Cold.
Not a great guy.
It doesn't matter.
You want to you done with the Leafs? You want to talk a little Boston here
Yeah.
on what Boston Bruin team we'll see tonight, because they've had their issues right out of the gate.
Mm-hmm.
And are they a team that's coming in turning a corner somewhat with 2 wins in a row, including 2 shutouts? Or
Against the Kraken and the Flyers?
or
Those are good points.
is this a team that still going to find a way to lose without Auston Matthews in the lineup?
I don't know. Interesting Bruins team. Like they had been built on D and goaltending and team theory stuff. They can't score. 26th in the NHL right now in goals for per game. Swayman's not been great. Kind of a slower start.
Yes, but
Couple.
I
good
don't
ones lately.
think he's a major concern right now.
Okay. So if he's okay, that would
Yeah,
certainly help
he's
him out.
okay. He's fine. If you want to look at the big picture, somehow, some way, it would have been nice if they could have avoided all of that. Did it need to happen? That for Boston to come to an 8.25, or Swayman coming down off of maybe a $9 million early demand?
Mm-hmm.
Like, did everything have to happen to get to that point, or could it have been avoided? Because it didn't help. The distraction did not help this team get out of the gate.
No, it's crazy how often you see that happen where teams and players kind of go at each other for a contract and then the player signs and struggles. It happened with both Nylander. I think Marner too, when he first signed his deal, like both guys were pretty slow out of the gates. It happens. I think there's something in your head about like almost being, I don't know if this is a big leap, but almost being like embarrassed about having publicly been seen grinding for more money or whatever it is. Seems to affect guys when they come back.
The other thing that's awfully strange is the challenge that Montgomery, their head coach, is giving 2 of their star players that you wouldn't necessarily consider issues when it comes to needing to set examples for the rest of the team. But he's butt heads with now his captain, Brad Marchand, and David Pastrnak.
Yeah. So Pasternak was healthy scratch for the entire third period of the 2-0 win over the Seattle Kraken. Sounds like kind of a rough turnover in the second period, and that was been a trend with Pasternak so far. My first thought on that, Kip, is like you hear about coaches who feel like they're on the hot seat and it gets public, and they just say, if I'm going down, pushing all the buttons, pulling all the levers like this. We're going down my way. I'm digging in.
Yeah. My first thought is you don't have to speed up the process either.
But I can see guys being like, if we're going to lose a few games, I'm not doing it continuing to cater to the guy who's turning the puck over all the time.
Oh, I know. But as Sammy has said on a few occasions, and you, with guys like Willie, there's has to be a certain amount of acceptance. And my first thought is that, yes, he has turned over the puck in bad spots, but maybe more so than he has in the past. But do you really, over the course of the last 4 or 5 years, can you send a message without embarrassing him completely for the third period?
I don't know. You and I think fundamentally disagree on this like ego stuff. I don't see it as like an embarrassing sort of thing. It's like that's punishment for not doing things. That's coaching. That's
I think it's just my experience from being around guys to know that, like, they are sucks and they are egos, and there is all of the things that you're talking about that you're just way more mature. We're not. We're sucks, and you don't
listen,
forget.
I mean, I played hockey till I was 28 professionally too, not in the NHL, mind you, but it's the same. You know, I've seen enough of these guys getting benched. I've been around with my dad and all his people. I've seen enough to know that these egos are massive.
Yeah.
But at some point, the crest on the front is supposed to be what comes first. And if you can't fall in line, sometimes you got to sit and watch.
But the coach will pay for it, not Pasternak or Marchand.
Yeah, they have the
I can
contract.
assure you that it's like he's behind the scenes. I think there are rumblings that, you know, this can't go on much longer. And I don't know what a loss tonight or a bad loss could do for Montgomery.
Right.
Especially with Matthews out of the lineup here. But he's under the gun big time now, and he's just highlighted it that much more by going after a guy like Pasternak in a game that they're winning.
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying about he's made it a public issue now.
But
like he's brought it to light.
And there's also the part of it where, you know, when I can't remember when Keefe did it here, when he benched Matthews and last year. Remember? There was like that it was like half a period that he benched them for. They missed a power play after they had this really bad turnover and he was mad. And we talked about it for a few days. And you do it in these markets. It's benching Pasternak in Boston is different than, you know, Macklin Celebrini getting benched in San Jose or somebody getting benched in a different market. Like benching your best player by far in Boston in a game you're winning, that is sending a message. And that is something people are going to talk about. And you know people are going to talk about it. It's just you got to be careful with that, I think.
Pasternak comes out, scores a hat trick. They win 5-3.
Right.
Montgomery looks like a hero.
And guess what?
First,
that's probably what's going to happen.
Would you stop it?
No, like, I will. I mean, I don't know. We can get to the game time later. But go ahead.
You know, I just want to say that Montgomery has not fabricated this. Just sorting for giveaways in the NHL.
Oh.
He's second highest in the NHL in giveaways.
Who's number one?
So I gave you among forwards. Nathan McKinnon is the highest. But Nathan McKinnon plays 4 more minutes per game than him.
I mean, the giveaways are often, the top of the league's often the best players.
Datsuk every year a giveaway leader. He has the puck all the time.
Yeah.
Like that was a thing. So certainly it's related to having the puck all the time. But there's a lot of giveaways there.
Yeah.
That's all. Couple per game.
And this isn't the only
Dougie
place.
Hamilton first overall.
This is not the only place the Boston Bruins are leaking oil here because, and of course, in about 10 minutes, we'll welcome in Andy Brickley, Boston Bruins analyst, and we'll get a little deeper into maybe some of their issues here. But that blue line, which we thought was going to be their rock, suddenly looks awfully slow.
Yeah.
And not even that tough. And they went out and got Zadorov.
Yeah. Which is, I mean, Carlo's big. I don't think of him as mean or anything like that. The one thing I do want to hear is Montgomery is trying to smooth this over publicly. Like he's saying the right things to try to make it not a story. We have a great clip from Montgomery talking about Pasternak and the benching and how he handled it.
Yeah, he was incredible. You know, very vocal, picking up players at the last 15 seconds, talking about what a great team win this is. I said this since the beginning. I've said it numerous times. I'm really lucky to work with the leaders I get to work with. I'm very fortunate. In other places, like you've seen coaches that, you know, it's a big problem. And I'm lucky with the accountability that exists in this culture and the leaders that I get to deal with, because that allows me to hold everybody accountable.
In other places that I see, it's a big problem. Is that a little Leaf jab there? That Sheldon tried to bench a couple guys and it was a big problem?
I don't think he was going down that path.
He wasn't in Toronto yet for that clip, so maybe not.
No.
But if he was here, I would believe it.
But he's already kind of trying to make amends, right?
Yeah.
So he's trying to get ahead of it.
That wasn't quite apologizing for benching them.
And nor should you.
But that was the whole Sheldon thing when he was like he apologized for calling him soft or whatever happened. There was no apology there, but it is making amends.
I'm real interested to see the type of energy the Bruins come out tonight, and Pasternak for sure.
Yeah,
because the Boston Bruins that we've known or watched beat up on the Leafs over the years was this hard forechecking team.
Mm-hmm.
And, the stats today will tell us that the Toronto Maple Leafs and Boston are fairly even, right? There's only
and the standings are
6-5-2, 6-6-1.
Yeah, the same team base.
Same in the standings, but Toronto's been a much better and harder forechecking team than what I've seen out of the Boston Bruins this year. That staple has been all but disappeared towards their average start, is that they have not forechecked hard.
No. And I think you've hit on something that's key to watch. Like when I was on the staff with Sheldon with the Marlies, he would bench Willie, he would call Willie in and he would show him the video and he'd say, "Here's why do you disagree with being benched?" I'm sure Montgomery and Pasternak have had that talk, but if Pasternak does disagree with him, like he's not one to. I think it has a chance to be a lingering problem for them if the leaders of the team feel like they're getting picked on. Yeah, I think tonight's effort's going to be telling from them.
Yeah, and it's also to me, in Montgomery's mind, like, I know this is a fan thing to say, but he knows that David Pasternak owns the Leafs. He knows who the next game is against. He knows how good it's going to look when Pasternak guarantees goes out and scores.
Now you're giving him credit for thinking ahead to Toronto pretty significantly.
Yeah, I am. For this, I am. Maybe not on that quote, but there's something to it. He knows he's going to go out there and play great against the Leafs. He always plays great against the Leafs, and therefore it's going to make him look awesome for benching him and lighting a fire under him and getting him going. Like, he'll be awesome tonight. He's Pasternak. It's the Leafs. Yeah. So there you
go. No signs of Vancouver Zadorov.
Mm-hmm.
There's a little bit of Colorado Zadorov, but not like he's struggling. There's a few others struggling. Lindholm doesn't look himself either.
Mm-hmm. Lindholm and Pasternak, just no chemistry, and they really banked on that being a line, eh?
Lindholm hasn't scored since October 12th. Third game of the year.
Wow.
Yeah.
And we saw Charlie McAvoy score a pretty nifty goal.
Coyle,
sorry.
Coyle, yeah.
Yeah, Charlie Coyle. We saw him score a real nice goal, but, Lindholm and Charlie Coyle are going to take you to the promised land as number 1 and 2 down the middle?
No, I don't think that's a safe bet. The Bruins kind of feel like they got some issues here. Like the tent pole guys are fading, and with Marchand fading, and you need a lot from Coyle, and those guys got to find it.
Tyler Johnson in the lineup tonight.
Doesn't feel like big bad Bruin stuff to me, I'll be honest.
That's more Cubs stuff.
Yeah, do you want to hear Berube talk about on the Bruins here? Clip 3, please.
Hasn't really changed. I mean, the personnel has changed with their team, but their culture and how they play the game and what they value in the game hasn't changed. And they got solid goaltending. Obviously they got a big D core that defends well, and their forwards are responsible defensively. They don't give you much, so you got to earn what you get against them, and at the same time, you got to make sure that we're not cheating and forcing too much and things like that. You got to play patient too against them. That's going to be a key point tonight.
I mean, that's given them a lot of credit for being the same team they've been. They just don't look like it. Like if I sort their fancy numbers that I get from Sportlogic, Boston's not good.
A
lot of red. Like they're 29th in shot attempts, 25th in shots on net, 29th in rush chances, 23rd in forecheck chances. So they don't create. Expected goals against, 22nd. They're not. They don't look good.
We suck.
Except against the Leafs.
You think that's going to hold, eh?
Always does. They played great against the Leafs. They do. They've won 8 straight regular season games, and they can go back to playoffs.
8
This is
in
my
the regular
nightmare.
season?
It's 8 straight, bud.
That's a big number.
And so
Remember they played a few times right after Wool came back last year.
And
from his
they
injury.
lit him up.
He just was not ready
They lit
for
him
that
up.
challenge.
All right, let's take a break.
Okay, we'll take a quick break. When we return, we'll welcome in Andy Brickley, does a great job covering the Boston Bruins. We'll get into some detail there on maybe he knows a little bit more on Pasternak.
Yes, and thanks to Brad on Twitter who pointed out that I lost my poppy. I don't know how it happened, but I'll get it.
We'll look after you, pal. All that and more after the break. All right, we're back. Are we back?
Are we?
Hopefully.
All right. Well, you let me know when the commercials coming to an end.
Sometimes our in the break chats, they would do really, really popular.
You should have a
Yes,
podcast.
you know,
called
For our
In the
last
Break.
show ever together, they'd be wonderful.
Hey, before we get to Andy Brickley, before I forget, last night, the Zigzags, my beloved beer league team, we had a listener out to play net for us. Cameron, our listener, and he was spectacular, made a couple great saves. We got a big win over the Jaeger Bombs or Jaegermeisters. I forget the team name, but shout out Cameron. He was awesome. So thanks for coming out, bud. Appreciate it.
Way to go, Cameron.
Thanks for letting me get that in. I appreciate it. Like it's getting goalies is hard. I was thinking about paying
I'm
money.
okay with that.
Thank
I'm all
you.
right with
Thank
that.
you.
It's a
Thank
proud moment. It's
Thank
not
you.
it's not like a hole in one.
No.
Right?
Oh, yeah, that's a good segue.
Let's go to Andy Brickley, who canceled our last hit due to a hole in one. I've been in broadcasting well over 20 years, Andy. That one was a first for me, but I get it. Trust me, I get it, pal. You still telling that story every day?
Let's make sure the wording is correct. I didn't cancel. I called your producer to say things have escalated as far as having
Oh, we canceled on you.
well, I think it was a mutual decision just for those that listened to the show that they didn't really need to hear that.
Okay, can you remind us the yardage and the iron used on your hole in one?
Yeah, if memory serves me correctly, it was a Friday, and we have a big Friday group that plays together. You know, we have the team from 11 to 12:30, and the season was winding down. There was a lot of money on the table, and it was on the 15th hole, 190 yards, and I hit a 3 hybrid.
Wow!
And it landed on the front of the green and rolled in like a putt. It was nice to watch.
Congratulations!
That's awesome.
Thanks.
Where does that luck stop when it comes to the Boston Bruins?
They were pretty lucky over the weekend. They played well. They got some improved play from some guys that they needed some better play from that play a lot of minutes for this team and have a lot of responsibility, a lot of accountability, and they hadn't found their A game yet. So improvements there. Those are good signs. They got good goaltending. They got better penalty killing. So there's some things to get excited about for this team, but they certainly weren't flawless performances. There's still a lot of growth in their game. A lot of it has to do with the way the Bruins play, guys, and you know this. It's a hybrid, particularly on the defensive side of the game, and they rely on their centers to do a lot of the work. And I know that's a little old school, but, you know, they're not man-on-man, they're not zone. So a lot of it is on the centerman to make the right reads and then communication. And they got 3 new centers, and it's taken them a while to get really comfortable with how they defend, and I think that's been one of their bigger problems. So to put a couple of shutouts back-to-back, that puts them in a better frame of mind coming in to play the Leafs tonight.
I'm scared to ask you where you
He's
are
at a
right
Chuck
now.
E. Cheese.
I'm at the Scotiabank Arena, and they're doing the sound check, and I'm up in the booth. I thought this would be the quietest place to do the interview.
Cheers.
It's all good.
Sammy,
I'm wrong again.
Sammy guessed Chuck E. Cheese.
No,
It's all good. It's all good. We appreciate you
Yes.
taking the time, even from there. The question I got for you is just: it feels like the Bruins, like the season is not where the Bruins would want it to be. They're kind of right where the Leafs are in the standings, but for some reason, it just feels like it's been a lot worse for the Bruins. Why does it feel that way? Do we just have the wrong picture of how the start of the season has gone there?
I think it's more because of certain individual play. You know, you have a guy like Charlie McAvoy who should really control games at times. I think he's that good. He's that skilled. He wants the puck on his stick. He wants to be on the ice in critical situations. But he had doubt that has crept into his game, and it's hard to believe somebody that good, that's that important, that's going to play 25 minutes, that he has some doubt. I thought the last game that he played against Seattle was his most decisive. He made the right decisions. He thought the game quick. He played quick, and it was the best he's played. Charlie Coyle, another guy. You know, last year there's some question, can he drive an offense as a second-line center on an elite team? And Everybody felt that he was a great third-line center and a Stanley Cup contender, but could he do, in the absence of Bergeron and Krejci, could he be a second-line center? He had a really good year, and he did drive the offense for a second line. That wasn't happening for the first 10 games. He didn't have his A game, and he's been very good the last two. Hampus Lindholm, another guy that plays big minutes on the back end. You have that 1-2 punch with McAvoy in one twosome, and then Lindholm in a second, and his game has improved over the last two or three, which they've needed. I think the guys that came over, the big free agent signings, and Lindholm and Zadorov, it took them a while to figure out where they best fit in, how to play, especially Lindholm with that center position that I already brought up. They had him on a bumper on the power play. He's probably better served on the elbow, so they've tried to reconfigure what they do with the man advantage to get more out of that in terms of scoring. David Pasternak's been, Jekyll and Hyde. He's been awesome at moments and invisible at others, and then, bad turnovers at even other points, and obviously didn't get a shift in the third period the other night in the game against the Kraken. So there's been issues. The holdout during training camp for Swayman, was he going to be ready to go come game one? I think his game has improved. He's always confident, always good, but now he's starting to look like that force that he can be in the net, and Korpisalo's been good too. They were great on the weekend. So there was so much surrounding this team that were question marks, and then a lot has been made of the situation with the head coach without a contract beyond this year, and then he had an exchange that was pretty public with Marchand and the benching of Pasternak. So there's some issues that they're trying to sort out. I don't think they're big issues, and I think it's more on the player to respond the right way. Marchand certainly did, and I expect Pasternak to do the same. So those are some of the things that have prevented Boston. You knew they weren't going to be 9-0-1 in the first 10 like they were a year ago, but you really didn't expect this one step forward, two steps back, which is what we've got for the first 10, 11, 12 games.
We're talking to Andy Brickley, Boston Bruins analyst. Does a terrific job covering the Bruins for Nesson. So part of that frustration of a poor start has led to very high-profile benchings by head coach Jim Montgomery. And Andy, I mean, we've seen guys benched before, but eyebrows are always raised when a coach goes after his best players. So you tell me, how calculated of a risk is this for Montgomery to go right at a guy like Pasternak most recently?
Yeah, working backwards, let's start with Pasternak. This was not based on solely the performance of the second period in the game against Seattle. This was coming. This was building. This was time and time again trying to get David to play the right way in critical situations, games where they left points on the board. And he was a culprit in many of those bad decisions. I mean, he wasn't alone, but when you have a high-profile guy, a guy that's going to play a lot, a guy that's supposed to make the plays, he's now really more of the leadership group. Marchand needs some help in that room. And when you have a guy like McAvoy who's doubting himself and Pasternak who's turning the puck over and making bad line changes, that's unacceptable for a head coach. It's unacceptable as a teammate. It should be unacceptable. And you'd like that room to police itself, but it's different now. It's no more Chara. It's no more Bergeron. A lot is on Marchand. And Marchand was trying to find his own game at ice level because of the 3 surgeries in the offseason. Didn't really have much of a training camp. So as he was trying to find his legs and his game, and he's trying to be a voice, and he's trying to run the locker room. And then you have a couple of other guys that are supposed to be leaders, and they're the ones that are the guilty parties or taking the shortcuts. That's unacceptable for a head coach. And, yeah, it is a slippery slope to say, how do I go about this to get my team's attention? And, again, I thought Marchand handled it perfectly with that exchange on the bench. And then I will wait and watch very carefully tonight how David Pasternak responds to being benched in the third period.
So it feels like could this be the first year in a while where for the Bruins they're really looking at adding or making changes within the season? Do you think that this is the year where maybe we could see some trades or them getting perhaps a little bit more aggressive than the past?
Yeah, I think that's pretty insightful of you. I think you're going to see a hockey trade this year. I thought we were going to get a really big hockey trade when they were going to trade Nina Somar. The goaltending tandem that was so good for the Bruins and the relationship between the goalies, but they knew they had to deal one of them with a situation financially where Swayman was headed after having the arbitration the year before. And they knew they were going to be in a battle to try to find some common ground financially. my impression was that they valued being in the draft this past summer in the first round. They had to deal with Omar and his limited movement clause, but they wanted to get in the draft, so the timing of the trade was such that it allowed them to get into the draft. What, 25th pick? I guess they put some value on that. They get the Korpisalo, and they get the Korpisalo contract, or most of it, and then Kastelik's been a great find. He's been a nice addition as far as the fourth-line construction for the Bruins. That said, I was looking more for my generation as a fan of the Boston Bruins growing up in Boston, I was looking for that Esposito-Rattel kind of trade, Rattel and Park. A big hockey trade, a really good player for a really good player, a need for a need. But that hasn't surfaced yet. But it would not surprise me, fellas, to see that happen at some point this year.
Okay, I promise I'll let you go, but Pasternak's their game breaker. We know that, world class in his prime. Marchand maybe slowing down a tad, but what is it that they need most? Is it a dynamic scorer here, a number one centerman to maybe push Lindholm and Coyle back? What is it in your eyes?
Well, it's a top six forward, no question about it. Whether it's a wing or a center, my preference would be a center. I think you could even put Coyle on the wing if you wanted to have him inside the top six. But if it had to be a winger, it has to be a top six guy, a guy that can produce, a guy that can play power play, a guy that even if he's a wing can help drive an offensive line. But my preference would be a center. Now, if you keep Coyle at the number 2 slot, what is Matty Poitras going to be? What is he going to be? This is a draft kid. They're trying to put resources behind him in terms of development, and maybe that had something to do with the signing of Tyler Johnson to get him on a line with Poitras, to give him some help, somebody that can play intelligent, give and goes, help the kid learn the game, learn to know where the hits are coming from. So there's a lot of moving parts, but my simple answer is top 6 forward that can be productive. I think that's what they need most.
Last one for me, Beecher, Kastelik, Koepke. Is it Koepke? Am I saying that right? Have they been on for any goals against yet? That line's been unbelievable for the Bruins.
Well, it was funny when they went into Carolina, which was a disaster. Monty tried to split that line up and put one of each on a different line to hope that their work ethic and their good habits would work, would rub off on the other 2 players on that line. That was a disaster. Did not work. Ended up not being a good idea. So we put them back together. They're comfortable playing with each other. They play the game the right way. At least to this point, they've been good. Their sustainability's been good. They keep it simple, high percentage. They know who they are. Their back check pressure is real good. They take the body. All the stuff that you're looking for when you put a fourth line together. They can start periods. They can close games out, hopefully. Beach is pretty good in the face-off circle. Kastelik's been good in the face-off circle. And you can get them out there to change momentum of games. They've been very good. The best idea is to keep the 3 of them together. As far as goals against, very few, if any. That's because they've been playing the right way.
And I don't know what the hell's going on at the Scotiabank Arena, but I thought Halloween was over. I hear chains in the background. I hear ghosts moving in and out. Steps.
My assumption was they did their sound check around 2:30. Not right now, when you're trying to get ready for the game. But, what do I know? I'm just a guy from Boston who's, I keep looking at my phone wondering how the election's going back there.
Good luck to you.
No one can ever take that hole-in-one away from you, that's for sure. Thanks for doing this, Andy.
That is number 4, by the way.
Oh, my gosh.
Boo!
Yeah, you got that excited for a 4th one?
I had to get that in, though. I got to brag a little bit.
Yeah, justifying.
Most definitely.
Well done.
All right, Andy Brickley, everybody. The Boston Bruins take on the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Sammy was loving the
what did you hear? I heard chains.
Okay.
Dragging.
One of the first, I used to be, when I first started producing, I remember I booked a guy, I forget the guy's name, he used to be a writer for Sportsnet. And I booked him on with Jeff Salmon, who I used to produce for back in the day. And I was happy to get this guy on. And in the middle of the interview, it sounded like he was in the background. There's some sound in the background. And then somebody scores a goal at a rink. And it's eruption and it's goal scored. He was just doing the interview. But in a hockey game, and I just remember laughing so hard. It's just, I don't know how good of a pro Andy Brickley is. I guess I have extreme ADD, but he did those massive sounds. He didn't break. He didn't stop.
What choice do you have?
I guess, but what a pro.
Some things we just cannot control. So you
I know. Sorry about that.
Send me the Serenity.
Listen,
stay calm and carry on.
at least he picked up. You know,
He did.
How about a shout out for this Justin Brezzo? Like,
Is this just you taking a dig at Leafs?
no, it's not. Yes, yeah, it is, but it's a guy that came within one goal of breaking my North Bay junior record.
Yeah. And he is a giant, right? He's 6'5", 220 pounds.
220.
He played for the Toronto Marlies for 20 games a couple years ago, scored 4 times.
And now he's a pretty important piece in that lineup.
Great hands. 4 goals in 11 games for them. Yeah. He's
So how does a guy like that just?
oh, here it is.
How does that happen?
But this happens when they're not ready. You know, like,
Well, it just seems that it happens a little bit more often, maybe here.
are you saying the Leafs had Carter Verhaeghe and what's his name, Rodriguez in Florida and Marchment in Dallas, and we could do it for a while.
But I think
It's enough to piss you off,
It's
though.
just annoying.
But if you went, like, listen, I am as pissed off about all those guys as
but
anyone.
yeah.
But I think if you went around the league to every
Oh,
single
I
team and
know,
did that,
I
you would
know.
have a laundry list of
Yes.
guys,
Rodriguez played for
I
9
get it.
teams.
right?
And-
I mean, Carter Verhaeghe was not only cut by the Leafs,
No
he was
clue.
cut by the Lightning.
Nobody saw
Like, there was
that.
2 teams that went out,
Right?
gave up.
It was just impossible to have seen that.
Still sucks.
That's
I,
why- hey,
if,
fair.
if I could undo Marchment for Dennis Malgin, I probably would.
Do you think Nick Robertson knows that list pretty well? And going, I'd like to join it.
Yeah.
I would love to be
I'd
part of
love
that
to
list.
go be one of those guys
Yeah.
for sure.
For sure. But man,
Marshman hurts.
You got a good feeling about tonight?
I do. Yeah, this is the sort of situation in the past where the Leafs have said, we're without Matthews, we're without Marner, we're without Riley. Their record is good without all their star players. So everyone rises up.
And it's just a year where the Boston Bruins are going to finally kind of fall off because we've been waiting for a while now.
I do think that they're in trouble. Like that Poitras, he's not, I don't think he's all that great. You know, they're not that great down the middle. Marchand is not the guy he was. It's funny, you know, the biggest thing that I took away from that interview was when he said, it's not like it used to be. You don't have, no, not the horns.
oh, okay.
We don't, it's not the same culture where you have Bergeron, you have Chara. It's not like that anymore. He was basically saying the coach has to do this now. Marchand's trying to find his game. That to me is like, that is what the Bruins were, was the identity, the culture, the leadership. And if he's saying they're not that anymore.
Why can't Marchand set that? He's part of that. I
He's
get
trying.
it. The numbers aren't quite where he wants them, but he still should be able to carry that part of the culture into that dressing room every day.
Yeah, it's like, you know, hey, but you lose a little piece of the team and a little piece and a little piece, and the culture holds you together. And then eventually, you know, you just lose too many bits of it. He's the only guy, right, who you would consider a part of that, I guess, McAvoy.
God, this is music to my ears, boys.
Absolutely.
Like Abbey Road, just playing in my ears, talking about the Bruins' downfall. I still don't think.
You don't believe it?
Yeah, like you can show me their, what's the page you use? Sports Logic.
Mm-hmm.
You can show me all the red you want. Still wearing black and gold. I do find a way that there is enough culture there. There is enough good players there that they're not going to like miss the playoffs.
The nerds
Hey,
like Ottawa more than Boston.
Listen,
For sure.
That's where again, Detroit at 5-5-1. That
Yeah.
they're all right in the mix here
The Athletic has the Red Wings odds of making the playoffs at 5%.
already.
Yeah.
The Boston Bruins?
No, the Red Wings.
Oh, Red Wings, yeah. Yeah, that tracks. If you've
82,
wa- if you've-
82 game
Very
season,
small chance.
and we've concluded this after 11 games.
I mean,
11
if you've
games,
watched
it's
if you've
enough.
watched them play, I would be like, I agree. Agree.
Our thanks to Andy Brickley, who will cover the game for the Boston Bruins tonight. Coming up next, Steve Valiquette. Tuesdays are getting quite popular on the Real Kyper and Bourne show.
Big
based
show
on this
today.
guy.
Big show.
Huge one, as we'll dive into a ton with one of the best ones out there when it comes to his clear sight analytics. Steve Valiquette after the break. Don't go away. All right, let's take it national on the Real Kyper and Bourne show. The Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee. We are live on Sportsnet 650 in Vancouver and Sportsnet 960 in Calgary, seen coast to coast on your Sportsnet platforms. 11 games on tap tonight. 6 Canadian teams go at it. Calgary is in Montreal. Vancouver continues their California trip. Ottawa and Buffalo, and Toronto and the Boston Bruins. This hour of Real Kyper and Bourne is brought to you by Bet365. In a few minutes, we'll welcome in Steve Valiquette, analyst for the New York Rangers on MSG and CEO of ClearSight Analytics, which apparently is getting more popular.
Yeah, I think he's had a couple of phone calls recently from the NHL.
As he continues our Tuesdays here
we got
on the show.
No chance of keeping him all season.
I love watching you guys when I'm on.
Was that Doug McLean?
Nope. He's gonna get too busy for us, Valley. So Ottawa, Buffalo tonight.
Yeah, I think this is
Big
a
game.
pivotal game for the Buffalo Sabres.
4-7-1.
They got to find a way to
At
kind
home.
of stay close here. Ottawa has done what they've needed to do and show everybody that they were legit in thinking that they're going to play meaningful games in March.
Mm-hmm. How about December? That would be an improvement for Ottawa.
That's a foregone conclusion.
Yes.
Now.
It is now, for
Yes,
sure.
it is now. Okay, let's welcome him in. Steve Valiquette from the home office.
What's up, fellas?
Now,
hey, guys, before we start, I don't vote and tell. All right, so don't ask.
Oh, we're not going to get any insight on the election. You're in New York anyway, aren't you?
Just stare in the camera and I'll tell you who you voted for.
Yeah, right. Can you read my mind?
Hey, is it true now that you walk around New York City and people are starting to go, hey, isn't that Steve Valiquette from the Real Kyper and Bourne show?
That's the guy.
I had 2 run-ins this week, and I was so pumped. Okay, the first one, I'm on the ice, and I'm training a young goalie. This guy comes up to me because he's out there playing some shinny, asks if he can shoot. He starts taking some shots, and he says to me, do you think I should score from here? And I said, no, you got about a 4% chance to score. He goes, I know, I listened to you on Kyper and Bourne.
Hey, all right.
There you go. All right, so where do you want to start here? Because we got some pretty juicy conversation pieces tonight. Toronto and Boston, a huge rivalry. We know the Boston Bruins over the years have owned the Leafs, but is there a chance that Boston could take advantage of a guy like Auston Matthews out of the lineup?
I love this matchup because it really gives me the final measuring stick before I place a wager on Boston out. I heard Sammy's line yesterday where I guess it is a pretty decent bet still to see if it is Ottawa in Boston out.
Mm-hmm.
Boston right now, guys, if you're wondering how Swayman's doing and what's happening in Boston, most of it is related to the D zone. And pulled a bunch of stuff here on Boston there. To me, non-playoff. We went back to, I believe it was October 21st when we first started talking about Boston. But listen to this, fellas. East to west in their D zone, they used to dominate. They used to have great sticks. 29th in the NHL in chances against, in east to west chances against in their D zone, where they used to be the best. Odd man rushes, 31st in the NHL against. Net front D zone, one of the best. And that was the size that we were talking about that they added to their blue line. So they're still really good at protecting around the goalie, boxing out on shots coming in from the point. But dots down D zone, they've slipped to 10th. But I think the 2 areas, aside from their offense, that's really low plus vanilla, they're not a playoff team by any means. I think Ottawa, who I saw last week live at MSG, that dominated the Rangers. They had 40 scoring chances to the Rangers 18. If not for Shesterkin, it was a blowout. Rangers won 2-1. But I got to tell you guys, Ottawa to me is in all day.
And Ullmark and Forsberg going to be enough for that team to get across the line?
For a long time, Forsberg, I know he had the year he had last year. Ottawa was in disarray. We can go back and talk about that. We're not going to go there. Everyone there is looking forward. I love his game, okay, in perspective, Forsberg, for the role that he has with Ullmark. What does Ullmark need? He needs somebody to be a safety net. Forsberg is a safety net, and he's a quality NHL goalie that can give you big starts when you need them. And he's better than playing once every 2 weeks. He should get a start a week. I think the way that split should work would be 2 for Ullmark and then 1 for Forsberg. 2 for Ullmark, 1 for Forsberg, maybe 3 for Ullmark, 1 for Forsberg, but just keep it going like that. And then Ullmark's happy because he gets to oil his Ferrari.
Just a thought on Auston Matthews not playing tonight, but a slow start prior to Connor McDavid getting hurt. A slow start. Is there anything to this? That the data will tell you, or is it just they're just not pumping on all cylinders here to start the season?
You know what it is, guys? When you get to looking to some data and you're trying to realize if something's going to pop, what I've always seen is that when somebody gets to expected 5 goals and they are under, they always break through. And that's where Matthews is right now. At this point last year, he had 13 goals. And he's got 5 this year with an empty netter. And last year's 13 was all against a goaltender. And he was overshooting his average by 7. So his expected is in the same neighborhood as it is right now after 13 games. And I wouldn't expect it, because I remember the Rangers playing Toronto probably 3rd or 4th game of the season, and he only had 3 high danger chances. But overall, he's met up. And right now, he's really where he was last year, but snake bitten, bad luck. You know what's really funny is broken play goals. Broken play goals, those would be the lucky ones, the ones that go off a shin pad and kick to somebody in the back door. Auston has 69 goals last year. He had 13 broken play goals. The year before, he had 40 goals. He had 5 broken play goals. This is consistent with Pasternak's career year, Jason Robertson's career year. You can go to Mangiapane. You can go to Ovechkin's slow start last year. You can always say that broken plays reflect somebody's luck, good or bad. And in career years, guys always have double digits in broken play goals. And that's one thing teams have to guard themselves against. You don't want to play for broken play goals. You don't want to pay for them because they're not repeatable.
Stupid sport. So much luck involved.
There is. No, that's legit. There's legit luck there.
For sure. So let's talk about the Four Nations face-off, which is a big deal up here. We talk about it, every day. We don't have a goalie, Valley. What's going on? Who's it going to be for Canada net? Is it Binnington?
Well, what I was looking at for you guys was that there are no Canadian goalies, okay?
Oh.
So in the top 20 over the last 3 years, you've got Jordan Binnington, and then you've got Logan Thompson and Laurent Brossoit. And that's it in the top 20.
Boy.
That's it. It's thin. It's thin. So I'd imagine if Aiden Hill gets going here, he could really push for a spot. But it's Jordan Binnington, and then you're really looking for help from those 3 guys. It would be Aiden Hill, Brossoit, Logan Thompson. And sometimes when I'm saying the names, Montembeault, Montano.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. And you know why? Because I just don't think he's going to have enough to carry him through a season. It's tough there in Montreal. The environment that he's in is hard. It's like looking at Swayman today. You wouldn't believe that last year he's at, when you take away all the noise and save percentage, all the shots from the neutral zone and the fluff from the walls and stuff like that, you take it all out and you look at somebody's environment. Last year, Swayman's environment was 895. And this year it's like 879. So you talk about what is Boston, how does it reflect the goalie? Oftentimes when you talk to NHL goalies, they'll always talk about what they feel, what they can see on each shot. And Swayman's got a very tough environment coming back and obviously being late through training camp, et cetera.
Valley, can you pinpoint what happened with Canadian goaltenders over the last 5, 7, 10 years? Is it just the kids now are listening to their parents when they say, no, don't do it?
Well, I would say that there is a theory that's pretty valid with social media. Goaltenders receive the play, right? You can't compare them to a quarterback in football that's a singular position because they drive play, or a pitcher in baseball. The goalie receives play. We just talked about broken plays. You can have a bad run of cards, guys, and doubt everything. And I'm dealing with goalies from the youth level through prep school, college, and the NHL, and everybody has a degree of doubt. And when it comes, the lights are bright and it frustrates people. And you know what's really difficult is explaining to a goalie what a bad goal is right now because of the generations that we're in. And guys, go back and watch some goals from the 80s. And it's pretty interesting because I've been able to get to know Ken Dryden. I coach his grandkids. And he was telling me about how goalies in his day, the reason why they played a stand-up style was for safety reasons, because the further you came out, the smaller the net in front of you became. So you're out there just kicking them out with your pads rather than being in harm's way in a low crouch. And he said as soon as the equipment got better, the helmets were safer, that's why goalies can back up in their crease and get into a lower stance, protect the lower part of the net. He honestly said, he's like, you think that we wanted to stand up? It was safety. So now when you look at how goalies are playing and overplaying certain situations, the injuries, I think the stress, the pressure, I think there's a lot of factors, guys. And, you know, an overuse of reverse VH is one of them. You know, I do wonder about the future of goaltending and how many kids actually want to be a goalie.
Is Sammy's favorite goalie Freddie Anderson like the perfect example of a guy that just once again finds himself on the shelf week to week? Can Carolina get it done without knowing for sure who their number one goalie is throughout the year?
You know, and that's why I think coming into this year, Kyper, there were a lot of teams I talked to that want to run with 4 $1 million goalies, you know, rather than heavy on 1 or 2 guys. And look, you could go right to Thatcher Demko. What is Vancouver's chance of really making a run without Demko, right? And 3 years ago, he has a right knee injury that really moves into a left knee injury. And now you're hearing reports that he's just going to have to play through it, you know? And what do you hear when you hear that? I hear good luck, you know? And sometimes, as I've said on this show, there are guys that don't mind having a couple weeks off here and there just to get a breath of fresh air and just breathe a little bit and let it breathe.
You don't think Demko's close?
I think Demko's going to be close to trying it, but is that the best thing for Demko? And I think that's just the way it's going to be for him. He is being, from what I understand and what I'm being told, he's being told that he's going to have to play through it. And that never works, fellas.
Oh, boy.
That never works. And you want to talk about, you know, we're talking about injury now and long-term health. Hey, how are you feeling about walking down your stairs sideways in your 40s because, you know, you've got knee replacements and everything? There is that. And I always wonder, I mean, back to the reverse VH, I'm not joking that I think guys are spending too much time in that move. You can't do it, fellas. When I get down on my knees and coach goalies doing this, I can feel it in my hip and my knee and my ankle. And I thought from the years of watching him with Ian Clark's a very demanding goalie coach physically, saw a lot of side to side, down on the knees, hard, post to post, in and out, a lot of aggressive movement. And I think that wear and tear, there's an argument there that was, and you know what the funny thing is about the reverse VH to me? It's a low danger chance that you're preparing for, a wraparound. Those are low danger chances. Why are we spending so much time in practice on the reverse VH? I hope that goalie coaches for youth, especially for the youth kids, for the kids through high school and youth hockey, don't spend too much time down in that position. You're spending way too much time working on a move that's protecting you against a low danger chance.
Time to start drafting the 5'9" goalie again.
No, that's no solution. What is the solution?
Well,
That's what I want to know. What's the next evolution if this is kind of players know what goalies are up to now? Thank you for your insight and for my article. I just stole everything you said and wrote it.
Well, I read the article. I thought it was terrific.
Thanks.
And, I mean, you guys are getting a good sense of it. It's like even watching Joseph Wall coming back now, and the puck goes to the point. Parayko is a right-handed shot, but the puck goes through him on a screen. And Joseph Wall now, he's had 9 screens this year, guys. He's given up 5 goals, right? But is he a bad goalie on screens, or is it the 3 touches or several seconds before it gets to Parayko that hurt him? In that goal in particular, he is in his reverse, and by the time he advances up to his feet to get to the top of the crease, he's got a screen there, but he can't differentiate if he has to look strong side over the shoulder or weak side because he was down before. Whereas, you guys know I work with Henrik Lundqvist. We talk about this all the time. There aren't benefits to being down this much. And besides the health, I think you're putting yourself behind a situation. And in this sequence that I'm talking about, Wall gets up and he's looking over the weak side of the shoulder of the screen in front of him. He should be over the left side, but he's late to see it on his way transitioning from his reverse to his feet. Now a screen goes through. And again, I don't think he's bad at screens. I just think the work he does before the screen hurts his ability to assess the screen to the best of his abilities.
Val, if we assume that there might be a few teams out there not happy with their goaltending, that John Gibson would be a name that they would first look at?
You know what, Kipper, I don't know about that. John he's been for 5 years really relatively easy to beat on east to west plays. And I wonder about that. I think that he's an easy pre-scout, and I think in a big market, I don't know if that's exactly what he wants either. I think we would have seen him move already up at this point. I mean, it's been 5 years, I can tell you Dostal is the second best goalie right now in the NHL, and third best is Anthony Stolarz. Shesterkin is number one, but the top right now is Dostal. So I'd see Gibson for sure being on the move. I just wonder why he hasn't wanted to move sooner. Why settle in but it's nice out there. It's nice weather. I wonder if he would just get a little too comfortable and not responsible enough for me with the way he plays his game, because he's so first shot focused and not worried or not focused at all at giving himself a chance to be available on east to west plays.
Valley, the other two guys on the show are being mean to me in the first hour because I thought the Leafs should get Joseph Woll back in some games, find a rhythm again. I know Stolarz is playing very good. Where do you stand on the idea of goaltenders who aren't playing well getting games or sticking with a rotation despite some struggles for one of the guys?
Yeah, no, I looked into that today too, Bourne. And one thing that you notice is there is definitely a rhythm to goalies in their 50s. 50 game appearances, 50, 51, 52, 53, having Vezina seasons and still having enough gas to go through a run. Hellebuck plays 60 games, wins the Vezina, is done in the first round, right? But you go back to Shesterkin's Vezina year, he plays 53 games, and I think that's the number. It's somewhere in and around 51, 52, 53, and if you can do that, the physicality of the game, it's just changed, guys. Like I know I brought this up last year, but 40% more east to west chances over the last 5 years. Shot quality is up. It's a tougher environment for goalies right now in the NHL. We talked last week about overall save percentage, of course. That's not going anywhere. I mean, every night, last night was one of the first nights that we've had in a long time where we had two low scores in the games. Every night, big scores. And you know what? Kipper, you could speak to this. Nobody's playing the clock anymore. Nobody's playing the score of the game. Everybody's running. It's like, I'm like watching a lot of games. I'm like, is there any care at all? Like everyone's just running around.
What I get a kick out of now is that in my day, you pulled the goalie, and if you tie it, great. But if you don't, and then they get the insurance, the goalie goes back in and you just go fight another day. Now guys are getting cracks at like 2, 3, 4 goals on empty nets. I'm like, what is going on here?
Yeah, it's frustrating for the gambling world, I can tell you that, especially when you're playing unders. Like, you're just going to get smoked. And there's been nights here, our company, there's gambling firms that subscribe, and you're watching things, and I was like, oh my God, I don't like to gamble because, hey, I work hard for my money, but I'd hate to be trying to figure that out because there's no rhyme reason to it. It's I don't know. It's a different game, guys. I'm trying to figure out hockey every day, and I feel like I'm inching closer, but it's constantly changing. If you've been out of this game for 5 years, you're coming into a brand new game. I don't care who you think you are and how much experience you think you have. It's a totally new game.
We saw New Jersey give it to the Oilers last night. Any concerns still there in net for the Oilers moving forward for you?
Yeah, I think that until I talked to Hank about this, and Henrik said the same thing because he covered the final last year. He just said anything that comes in east to west off the rush, I just don't feel like, Skinner can get around. But I feel that it's also unfair to him too. Like, come on, the guy's in a very difficult environment, and it's supposed to be Jack Campbell, and he's supposed to be the guy that's just working his career in. And like we've talked about a little bit too, is how many goalies are getting games right now beyond where they're really ready. And to answer your question, I think things are going to be status quo there. You guys asked me last week who's taking the most bad shots or who's taking the most low danger shots. It's Edmonton. And that's always a sign to me of panic. Just throw it at the net. And you know the message is, and it can really find a way to really break down what you want to do on your team with structure and offensive schemes, is just get pucks to the net. And eventually you're just warming up the other goalie, and it's going to be a long night. But the top 3 teams in low danger shots right now, guys, are all out of the playoffs. It's Nashville, Pittsburgh, Oilers. And I wonder sometimes if that's just a remedy for a hot goalie that you're going to get up against. It's just the way it is. And same thing on power plays. I pulled that as well too, because the low danger overall is one thing, but the low danger on the power plays, Nashville's leading the league, Islanders are next, and then Boston. And you take a lot of low danger on the power play. Again, what are you doing? You're putting the goalie into a good rhythm. You're putting the team into a good rhythm to get momentum to get out of that period.
Yeah, giving up possession too.
Giving up possession.
So you talked about Boston as a team whose underlying numbers you don't like. Edmonton's taking a lot of low danger shots. Are there any teams on the opposite side of this who the underlying numbers show as being better than maybe their actual results have been so far?
That would be a research assignment, Borny.
All right.
Because
I
don't
gotta get
have
this
that in
stuff
front of me.
pre-show. I missed that one.
Yeah, I think once last year I got on my computer while we were talking, and I was like, this is not great radio. Yeah, that's definitely one for next week.
All right, I'm jotting it down.
Yeah, I don't have it in front of me. Just looking at Toronto. I mean, Toronto at 5-on-5. I think things are going to break for Toronto.
Yeah.
I think things are going to break out. I see. If I'm a betting guy, I'm probably going to be betting Toronto tonight against Boston. The odd man rush has been the only thing that's hurt Toronto in the league-wide scope of things. 30th off the odd man rush. You don't want to be 30th off the odd man rush at 5-on-5. But dots down D zone and east to west D zone much better this year, ranking in the top 5. Net front a little weak, but not compared to Boston. I think Boston's in trouble.
Well, listen, great stuff. Anything else you want to cover here?
I just want to know if he fixed Georgiev after our last talk last week, where we had him last in the league in some stats. Has he things coming around? What's going on?
He hasn't played yet. He hasn't played yet, so things stay the same.
All right,
things stay the same until you get some games and churn around, boys.
They're getting healthy though, too, right? They're going to get some bodies back. Colorado.
Yeah, and you know what? Colorado plays right. I've looked into them quite a bit, and I think that their D zone it's very good. It's very good. They're gonna figure it out. Nope. I mean, I'm done, boys. The only thing I want here is one note for Sammy. George Peros doesn't hate the Leafs.
Very good.
I
try to explain that to him. George has got better things to do than think twice about the Leafs.
Yeah, no kidding.
My point stands. I rest my case.
Valley, great stuff, man. Thanks for doing this as always. Love your stuff. And have a great week, okay?
Fellas. All right.
Thanks,
Take care,
Valley.
guys.
Appreciate it, bud.
See you, boys.
That is Steve Valiquette. Does a great job. Like, again, I'm not big on analytics, but I find his numbers fascinating.
Yeah. No,
this
it's a
stuff.
unique look at a lot of this stuff. And goaltending, I think the most depressing thing from that whole chat is Canada doesn't have a goalie.
Yeah.
Listen,
Montum, no?
Montum, no.
I'm all right with Bennington. That guy competes.
I'm in on Bennington. That's where I'm at.
He'll be fine.
He is obviously the starting goalie. Doug Armstrong is the general manager of Team Canada. He's the general manager of the Blues.
He's won a Stanley Cup.
He's played in a bunch
years recently.
He's played in a bunch of huge games. He's played for Canada at other
Arrogant
levels.
as all hell.
Played for them at the World Juniors. Like, he's been around. He's played for Canada. He's got pedigree. Get him in there. See what happens.
His game on the weekend, for me, had this one's going back home, coast to coast on Hockey Night in Canada. I'll show you who's going to be the Canada goalie.
He's a 903 save percentage.
You didn't get that
which
vibe?
is above league average.
I got that vibe out of him Saturday night. He was really
He's a
solid.
913 last year. He's been great. He's the guy.
There's no Leafs talk on Saturday. The only vibe I was getting was these Guinness taste pretty good. But I was watching the game at a bar. I wasn't locked in as I usually am.
Then save your
He
analysis.
looked good. He looked good. He looked good. You know? Looked good.
I disagree with your analysis. I was in a bar drinking. Thanks.
Oh, he looked
Thanks for
good.
that, yeah.
He looked good. He looked good.
Gee, like, you have time to drink with all that worry about the Leafs?
Well,
they're related, I think, for him.
no, it's early season here, boys. They lose tonight, I'll start worrying. How's that?
Fair enough. You got
I do.
GT for us?
I do have some game time here. It's game time presented by Bet365. Visit the app for latest odds. Find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 plus. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. Ottawa Senators in Buffalo tonight. You said a huge game for the Buffalo Sabres.
Yeah, it is.
Got to tell you, I like the Sens. I think the Sens are better. I think Buffalo's still no good, and the Sens are not that big a fave here. Minus 120. I think it's a good number for the Sens. I think they're just a way better team.
They're a worse team to be a fan of than Buffalo.
I
last
think
decade.
I think Buffalo loses tonight, and they wake up tomorrow at 4-8-1.
Ooh.
They're thinking about making some changes.
I think so too. I mean, what's the shortest tenure a coach has ever had with the team?
No, Lindy's fine.
I know. Well, if you fire the GM, the coach is never fine.
I don't think you fire Kevin Adams, but you find him a new spot.
Oh, that's such cop out, isn't it? It's like, now he's the assistant skate
I
sharpener.
don't. Can't just keep it as is.
No, you cannot.
Sometimes you got to make a change for the sake of making a change.
But the Pagulas seem to have given up on them. They're like, we were just a Bills ownership now.
Boy, the Bills rock.
Bills kind of rock.
They are awesome. I love the Bills. The other one I had tonight, Calgary Flames in Montreal. I don't love either of the defensive cores and goaltending in either of these games. I think both these teams can score. Give me a high scoring one tonight. Give me the over 6.5 in Flames Habs tonight.
Kip has kind of quietly predicted meltdowns soon because you got Buffalo could happen. Montreal, we've talked a little bit about
I don't
some
think,
weirdness.
No, Marty St. Louis, he's got status until he doesn't want status as a head coach.
Right.
I think he's fine. They're not going to do anything there, although, it's frustrating because I don't think anybody expected him to make the playoffs this year, but you got to show signs that the program's moving forward, and I'm not sure that's happened an awful lot there.
And Boston,
Boston,
things go south. I mean, there's some results coming up that could, hold bigger implications.
As we get closer to that magic
coach firing window.
American Thanksgiving.
And the last thing I have for tonight, Max Domi has yet to score. He is playing on the top line tonight with Matthew Nyes and Mitch Marner.
Mm-hmm.
Give me a Max Domi goal tonight, plus 300.
So, I totally agree with, betting on Max Domi to score a goal. It's going to happen. Good line, whatever.
Yeah.
Bet365, we appreciate them. We love them. Their support for our show. Plus 300. That's no good.
It jumped out to me as a little low, but here's what I'll say. He's got to score eventually, right? And tonight's going to be...
They know that too, I guess.
Yeah, he's got to shoot one in, and he almost split the puck in two in the power play there, and he shot it so hard off the crossbar. So
he can't shoot. It's like Marner. When he gets a shot off, they can shoot it.
Yeah. So give me a Max Domi goal tonight at plus 300. And that was Game Time, presented by Bet365. Visit the app for latest odds and find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 plus. Ontario only. Please play responsibly.
You didn't give us anything on the presidential election?
Yeah, you had that in
Sammy?
the pre-show.
Come on, give us something.
I can tell you. Hold on, give me 1 second. Jeopardy music here.
Yeah, Donald J. Trump is
U.S.
the
election. U.S. election.
By the numbers.
Right now, Donald Trump is a minus 175 favorite, according to Bet365.
Used to be minus 188.
Kamala Harris is plus 150. So
there you go. If you feel like betting on the election.
Yeah, if you feel like maybe happiness hedge either way, maybe a good way to go.
So only one of us on this panel, Des, got to vote.
Yes.
And it wasn't me.
And it certainly wasn't me.
And it wasn't Sammy.
I'm a dual citizen, and I do cast a vote in the U.S. And you vote in the last place you lived. Last place I lived was in Chandler, Arizona, which is in Maricopa County, which I think there may be people pitchforking and coming down my street with torches. That's a hotly contested county. So I think they set one mail-in ballot box on fire a week ago or something.
Donald J. may call you.
Was your ballot on fire?
It very well could be. I don't know. But yes.
I was going to do a bad Trump impression. I can't do it.
Hope they're not roasting marshmallows right now.
I haven't seen what's going on down there, but
I will say
I am invested.
I love American politics coverage. Like I find the way they cover it so fascinating, and I watching the Leafs game tonight. But after Leafs talk, I'm settling in. I'm settling in and getting the old CNN on and watching it all night. Oh yeah, baby.
You could watch CNN like 6 months ago, and you can watch it today. You would know the difference.
I know it's
just rinse, repeat,
disagree.
Rinse, repeat.
Tonight's the big show. Tonight's the where it's at.
Okay, obviously, but outside of that, all
the
you've had
debate
is just
and the night.
repetition.
2 years
of
they've
it.
been
Just
campaigning.
enough.
Yeah, you know what's really gonna be nice? No more political ads during the football when I'm watching.
Yeah.
So looking forward to that too.
Yeah.
So hey, it's gonna be wild tonight.
Should be a night.
All
Godspeed,
right,
everyone.
Let's take a quick break here. When we return, we'll touch a little bit on the Edmonton Oilers. We saw McDavid back on the ice. We'll get our thoughts on that as they move forward towards climbing out of a 500 hockey club.
And some depressing quotes out of Nashville. I caught a Ryan O'Reilly one for the later, but maybe a Nashville conversation too, because it does not sound great there right now.
Okay,
Perfect.
We'll get into that more when we return to Real Kyper and Bourne. 6 Canadian teams in action tonight, with the exception of the Edmonton Oilers, who lost to New Jersey last night. They were McDavidless,
Yeah.
but he is back on the ice, probably a little earlier than expected.
Mm-hmm.
Report had him out as much as 3 weeks, and yet good sign that he's back out, or desperate sign?
No, we had Jason Smith on our show, orthopedic surgeon, a friend of the show here, and he talked about how this is the sort of injury that you can come back too early from. You know, it is possible. So I am curious to see what on the ice and skating versus actually returning to the lineup looks like. I don't think just because he's on the ice, it feels like he's back tomorrow night or anything.
Would you like to hear him talk about it?
Oh, I hope this doesn't contradict directly the things I just said.
It's most likely
we'll go to the second clip, please, Derek, is where he explains it more in detail.
When it first happens, obviously you're concerned that, it's maybe something a little more serious. But thankfully got good news on it, and I've been doing everything possible to make it feel better. And I'm not just sitting around waiting for it to feel better. I'm doing a lot of different things, and obviously the team here, the medical team here, the staff here, everybody's great, and understanding that I'm always pushing to play and trying to find that balance.
Pushing to play, trying to find that balance.
I wonder how much that kind of influences everybody that he's pushing.
Well, I think it's great that he's pushing. I think too often we hear, we cover the Leafs in the first hour. The past few years, people being very, very, very careful. It's good he wants to play.
They've won a couple of games without him.
Yeah.
2-1 without him, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
2-1. But yeah, that probably does put some pressure on them a little bit. I guess the question is, how desperate should they be? Like, I don't feel like if they lost a couple of more hockey games here, this whole thing is, we were still talking to Sammy before the show. That Pacific Division is rot. It's just rot. Like, San Jose's no good. Anaheim's no good. Seattle, not very good at all. Flames starting to show their true colors. Like, they're just,
blah.
Oilers are fine.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't.
They'll get their first round matchup with the Kings and beat them in 5 games.
And off they go. Thanks, Kevin.
If they're a top in their division.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, Vegas is legit.
There's a chance that they could play a tougher opponent.
I guess that's the big threat.
Okay?
Is like
it's how close were
sneaking-
they to playing Vegas?
Yeah, you don't want to
last
play
year?
Dallas in round 1 or something, which is very possible if you scuffle for too long.
But you look at these. I'm just looking at the standings here in the Pacific. You would imagine that by the end of the season here, it's going to be Vancouver and Edmonton fighting for that third spot,
2-3.
and one of them will be a wild card team, and one of them will be one of the 2-3 spot.
I don't believe in the Kings like that. I think you look at Golden Knights probably win it. Vancouver, Edmonton 2-3. Kings in that sneak into a wild card.
Yeah,
I could be wrong. Kevin Fiala, they're not great. Trevor Moore's not been great. Byfield's not scoring at the rate they wanted him to. Not sure how their record is as good, but maybe they haven't been playing anyone.
Listen, I'm wrong a lot.
That's also true.
New Jersey looked pretty fast last night.
But they got to be the fastest team in the league.
Yeah.
Get NHL
on a game
on that.
seen on Prime.
Did you see the video of Lomberg teeing off on Nathan Bastian? From that game? I think it was over the weekend. Oh my God, you didn't see that?
No.
It was like a crowd. It was like a crowd shot. So it was like right on the glass, and he is legitimately standing there, punching him in the face, like punching him like bang, 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 like 100 punches in the face, and they pan over to Nico Hischier. And he's just standing there, just watching his teammate get fed. And I'm like, oh, Sheldon.
So Hischier's the captain.
Yeah.
I wonder if Sheldon went from Toronto to Jersey and he's going, oh, come on. Come on, not again. Hischier is scoring a lot, but he's also had that happen before. So
I did see Lomberg on a television interview with no shirt on.
Yeah,
the Lamborghini does not mess around.
Lomberg's a mutant. That's a guy that at the deadline, the Leafs could be sniffing around. I wouldn't mind.
I got traded to the Rangers. I did a in-between interview with just a gray ripped T-shirt.
Mm-hmm.
And before I could get back, Mark Messier gives me this one right here. And
really?
Yeah, he called me right over. He says, we don't do interviews without the jersey on.
I
really
love that.
Yep. And I'm like, buddy, I'll put my helmet on. I'll like
put it on backwards.
I'll do it with my mouth guard. You just tell me. You just tell me whatever I need to do, and I'll do it. But
Willie hasn't had a tarp on in an interview for.
Oh my God!
I only pictured Mark calling Lomberg into the room after he did the interview with no shirt on, like
who's had more airtime for the Leafs this year, Craig Berube or Willie's nipples? It's got to be neck and neck.
Or nip and neck.
Little from column A and little from column B.
Oh, God. Times have changed, man.
Yeah.
I love that, though. Never heard that before.
Yeah.
But these guys just wear anything when they're getting interviewed. Actually, during that interview with McDavid, he had just come off the ice, and he was wearing like helmet, shoulder, like his whole getup or whatever, which is rare to see. And one of the questions in the interview was hilarious. They're like, did you get tripped or did you step on a stick? And he just like looked at the reporter and he's like genuinely, not trying to be. He's like, what's the difference? Yeah. What's the difference? Like he couldn't he was incredibly confused by the question.
And
was it malicious?
No, not at all.
And that's the difference is now the media needs somebody to blame. They need a culprit. They need, you're the best player in the world. You got hurt. We're canceling somebody right now. Like, who is it? Whose stick was it? Tell us
who to blame.
Who's to blame?
Yeah.
But yeah. So we got away from the main point there. Like, do you think if McDavid plays this weekend, feels like it's a rush back? Because there was some talk about that. Like, I'm like, I know your seasons, but like you said with the Pacific, has to be careful with ankles, man. They're not. You don't want to rush that. Yeah. Like, how long did Marner miss last year with the high ankle? It was a long
2
time,
weeks,
yeah.
3 weeks for sure.
Yeah, and he wasn't the same when he came back. Like it's
he
a
was
bad injury.
Never the same.
No, man.
And nobody ever really spoke of it.
We did. We talked about it at length.
But when they got knocked out in Game 7, and then they did the list of all the players that were hurt.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't tell us what Matthews did. They didn't tell them what happened with Marner. They didn't tell us anything.
They did a bit of a laundry list, but it was just never. And Mitch's ankle was never 100%.
Yeah, those are. So that's what I'm saying.
But those things
linger
for sure.
So, anyways,
I almost started singing Cranberries. Linger there. Glad I didn't. All right, so
it's
a jam.
The banger.
Ryan O'Reilly is not pleased with the Nashville Predators situation. He is a leader.
They look lethargic.
They look like they took a mediocre team and added some slow people. That's kind of what I think.
That's not what you want to hear, but you're bang on.
Yeah. So here's a clip from Ryan O'Reilly evaluating his own performance in their last loss.
I know for myself, I was pathetic and just throwing pucks away and not, moving with the puck and trusting my game. I know the guys probably felt that way too. It's just, we're just kind of sitting, waiting and not, working together and tight, and it's tough.
Called his game pathetic.
I got to tell you, too, I listened to that whole scrum. That was his fourth answer of absolutely burying himself and the team.
Really?
Like, that wasn't, like, the only thing he said in that. Yeah. Like, he said in one of the other clips, it's the worst game he's ever played in his life.
Oh, my God.
Oh, like, he was so hard on himself and on the team, too. Like, he would start by eviscerating himself, and then kind of make it about the team, and then go back to himself, and then go to the team. Like it's as candid as I've heard a guy crapping on himself and the team in an interview in a long time.
Yeah.
Pathetic the way I've been playing.
2 years ago, they were also a team that you said just needed to take a step back and regroup.
Yeah.
And then they had a great push towards the end of last season.
Sphere cancellation, baby. 18 straight games
Yes.
per point.
And then Trotz goes and opens the checkbook up to all these guys, including obviously Stamkos. And like, too much too soon.
Well, I'll tell you what buries them more than anything else is the success of Winnipeg and Minnesota to start this year. Because going into this year, you look at the Central and you say Dallas is going to be good. Colorado's probably going to be pretty good. Last year, Nashville made playoffs, 99 points. They got better. They expected to be, kind of in that upper echelon. With Winnipeg and Minnesota being this good early, God, it's a big climb now. Like they're not going to get over Dallas. They're Winnipeg and Minnesota have run away with it a little bit here. Colorado's going to get better. It gets really hard for them now.
Really?
Athletic has them at 35% chance via Dom Lucian's model, I believe.
35% chance
to make playoffs.
The Stamkos and Philip Forsberg.
Lower than you thought?
I thought it would be lower than that.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Stamkos and Philip
Look at that
Forsberg,
division.
very similar players. Is that?
Oh, you think they're both shooters?
Well,
or Forsberg. I mean, he scores a lot. But yeah, it could be there's some conflict there. I mean, could it be that
Power play I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Just, I don't know. There's just like many teams, like you can have great talented players and all individually sound, but put them all together and it just doesn't click. It doesn't work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we were talking about Lindholm going to Boston playing with Pasternak. It's like it just, for whatever reason, has not been there.
Macklin Celebrini back tonight after being hurt for a couple weeks.
Draymond Green did a press conference wearing a Celebrini jersey yesterday.
That's awesome.
And I love that. I think that's
awesome.
Great
Every
crossover.
game I've seen of San Jose, it's like empty.
Yeah, so they
the rink is empty?
Oh, yeah.
There's
nobody in the seats.
I want to say they're second last behind, who is it? But yeah, in attendance, they're getting like 12,000 fans a game or something. Like it's real bad.
That was a once very proud franchise.
Well, they did win forever.
Win and sell out.
Yeah. And do you know how many games Macklin Celebrini's played?
No.
He has one game. Played in one game, and he's got one goal, one assist for 2 points.
All right,
He's on a good pace.
Yeah, they need him, clearly.
So, I mean, that is something, though, that he's the first overall pick. That's something to watch. It makes at least makes him somewhat interesting. But, boy, they have so much work to do.
Yeah.
And I feel like they get a lot of credit for some reason, like
I don't
rebuild.
love the full teardown.
No, they stink.
Yeah, I get the idea that you need stars in markets like that. So, sure, you went out and got Celebrini, and hopefully he becomes one. But it's a long way back to winning from where they are right now.
Good for Tyler Toffoli, man.
Get that money.
Love it.
Yeah.
Couple cups.
Barclay Goodrow ended up there. He wasn't very happy when they got claimed.
Hey, I was looking at the attendance figures around the league. Winnipeg getting 12,000 fans a game too. I know you've talked about that.
That was a Sunday, I think.
They sold out the Leafs game. That was their first sellout this year. And last year they didn't sell out any games till late December. So it's better than last year.
Listen, there's a tough time, in certain areas of the country more so than others. But
Kip, they're winning right now.
But it has nothing to do with someone that has higher priorities on where their dollar goes.
Yeah.
Right? It's not about winning and losing. It's not about being entertaining. It's not about anything but how far can a family of four stretch a dollar?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, fair enough.
And it's just not on the priority list right now.
Utah, I think fairly low in attendance just based on the size of their rink. They also have like a 15,000 seater, so tougher spot there.
I think people are still trying to adjust in this country to the streaming and the
I should say attendance is very high in the NHL, 96% capacity on average.
Canadians are having a tough time, I think, realizing that streaming's becoming a bigger part of professional sports.
Mm-hmm. Have you had trouble accessing?
No, I'm okay. I'm all right.
Yeah.
But others, I think, are challenged as well.
Yeah. It's different. It's different with when things get chopped up. And I know Sammy talking about Blue Jays games. It's on Apple
I know.
today. And he's like, yeah,
I know we've
guess I
had
won't
this,
see it.
Not happening.
and I know that we've had this discussion, but like, I think we're considered like streaming snobs. Where, like, I want to change the channel to something else
To the other games.
to the other games, and now I got to exit out of my app, and I gotta like.
Honestly, Kip,
it's driving me nuts.
that's the number one thing. That's the only thing I don't like about it. Is because I'm a serial flicker.
Yes.
Football, basketball, baseball, hockey, bang, 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 commercial break, whistle break. Like I am flying around every night.
Can't.
That's the only thing.
I watched the full warm up on Prime last night. I did. I watched the.
Anyone go bar down?
Oh, several people.
Oh, wow.
You like that? Just no sound and just watching the warm up?
Like's not the word.
When I was a
What
kid,
are you waiting for? Someone to step on a puck or trip or something?
It's a curiosity.
when I was a
guess.
kid, man, there was nothing like warm up. When you
Well,
go to
being at a
when you
game,
go to a
being a
game and
warm-up's
watch warm up. Oh
ain't
my
as good
God.
as
I used to like the very few times I found tickets, you went up to the glass at Maple Leaf Gardens and just put your arm around the glass. It was so short that you could hang a program.
Grab a player.
No, yeah, but hang a program, and the guys would just come and sign the program along the
Really?
glass. Yep.
Wow,
I
that's
couldn't even
pretty
see
cool.
anything. It'd be just like you clip the pen to the piece of paper and you hope one of the pros sign it.
That's awesome. I
Awesome.
love that. Yeah, warm up's so cool. You get to see, in a game, William Nylander might have the puck for 45 seconds.
Yeah.
In warm up, he has it for 4 to 5 minutes, and you get
He's-
to watch him handle it, shoot it. See, it's a good skill showcase.
You mentioned the Blue Jays. Rare Blue Jays check-in for me because I'm also wearing the hat.
Rocking
I know,
the
but
bucket today.
I'm a dumb fan. GM Ross Atkins. We're going to have to be creative to build a bullpen this offseason. Oh, boy.
We're going to sign not good players and hope they have
We're
great
going to
years.
have to get creative is never what you want to hear about your ball squad, boys. Going to tell you.
Does that mean there's no cash?
I don't know.
I think they got so many holes to fill, you can't spend it all in one place.
Oh, God.
You got some work to do.
All right, busy night.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Oh, Broberg, 4 to 6 weeks, right leg injury. We didn't mention
That's
the other day.
Sucks.
that's way better than probably what you envisioned watching him getting carted off the ice Saturday night.
That sucks.
Criminal Mitch Marner.
Yeah. It
Tried
was
to
good.
do
He
it.
had good physical play, and he didn't back down from somebody on Sunday. Maybe it's a new Mitch Marner. Is this a new Happy Gilmore?
Oh, this is just the new look.
Yeah, and he like leaves, Matthews. Maybe that's how he hurt himself. He punched Ryan Suter so hard. He's never done it before, so he's hurt his shoulder. That's maybe what happened.
Very possible.
Yeah.
All right. Several Canadian games tonight, Kip. We got Ottawa and Buffalo, Calgary and Montreal, Toronto and Boston. Give me a few predictions. Let's start with Ottawa, Buffalo.
I will take Ottawa by 2 goals.
Okay. Handy one there. We're going to talk about this tomorrow. Leafs, Boston.
Leafs, Boston. I'll take the Leafs in overtime.
Ooh, an OT win.
Yeah.
Sam, you want to get your picks in on these? No,
I don't.
Thanks for your input.
And I never do this, by the way.
I know.
Never do it.
And Calgary, Montreal. Calgary kind of going in the wrong direction a little bit.
Well,
Montreal at home.
They've cooled off.
Plug your ears, Calgary listeners, because I love you. They may have been wrong about your team. They might suck. They might not be very good.
They just come down to earth a little
problem
bit.
is
They're okay.
Calgary.
It's okay
They
to
are
be where
who
you
we
want to
thought
be.
they were.
All right.
And then 5 games threw us off.
All those predictions reminds us that this hour of Real Kyper and Bourne brought to you by Bet365.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Enjoy your games, everybody. And we're back tomorrow to do it all over again on the Real Kyper and Bourne Show.